Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me here. Sorry I've been gone so long. Um, Injured my back a bit, so I've really been down. But I was just sitting back in my office, and I I come upon this little book here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. And I've been doing a bit of a journeying through this book just by, flipping to random pages. And I had just done this. And so I thought I would bring this one forward. It seems to be um, pretty popular lately, I think, with some of the readings that I've gotten. So give me just a second. Sorry about that. I had to step away for a moment. This space has been cleared and all negative energies sealed and bound and sent to the 13th dimension and above. And so I will read what we have here on these pages. It's called Cito Nada Cito Perunt. Fast to rise, fast to die. Forgive me if I didn't, speak the looks like Latin properly. But fast to rise, fast to die says, why does the quickly born squash compete with the slow pine? What is born quickly dies quickly. The squash is sometimes sown next to a very tall pine tree, and when it has fully grown after much rain and the tempering of the sky, it starts to indulge itself and extend its branches more boldly, and then creeps against the pine and dares to wrap its leaves in its branches, threatening its own large and vigorous fruits. And so its wantonness swells with such disdain that it then dares to attack the pine itself in this way. And the squash says, you see how I now outgrow you and excel you with my vigorous leaves. Then the pine, which excels through the wisdom of old age, does not marvel at the boldness of the insolent squash, but answers, I have endured many summers and winters here and great adversity through time, but I am whole. But you will be less daring at the first frost, for your leaves will fall and you will stop growing. Those who get some momentary glory and success through their fraud and ostentation and do not blush to boldly insult even the upright and learned are still forced to do something after a while. And when it comes to it, they fall, and being like peddlers of smoke, perish of their own smoke. The glory is brief. I was like midsummer grass for a while. I was suddenly born and suddenly died. And the notes say a young, vigorous squash uses a pine tree to support its rapid growth. The pine is the most important of all resinous evergreens, representing longevity and even immortality. This emblem points out the importance of respecting the knowledge that comes with age. Kind of sounds like what my grandparents used to say to us little grasshoppers. As sometimes we just got too big for our britches, you know? It's like pride comes before the fall. that sort of thing. But what I'm getting is, okay, so it's time to slow down. It's like there is this intuitive hit, right? This intuitive guidance that says it is time to act, right? That it's time to take action toward something. But spirits coming in, it's like you are the pine. You grow through the ages, right? This is not a one-hit wonder thing. It's not, it's like whatever action is taken brings a sort of permanence to it. But it's like spirit saying, slow down. Like you have time. Don't, it's not a time for haste. It's not a time for rushing. There's a reason why we find ourselves in these moments. And sometimes it is because there have indeed been workings behind the scene that we were not aware of. And those workings were affecting our ability to a degree, right? Think of it as if you are always talking to someone who's always negative, you make it a routine phone call. Maybe the first person you talk to in the day, they're always negative, always nagging, always complaining, always have something bad to say. Nothing is ever good in this person's world. Listening to that can be the energy that carries out throughout your entire day, right? So it can take form in different types of moods. Maybe we're cranky, maybe we're irritable, maybe we start off feeling exhausted or confused, right? We may find ourselves feeling snappy or less tolerant. Okay. So even though these things may not have worked, say to the degree that it has stopped things from happening for us, it hasn't really stopped the manifestation of the dreams and the goals. And so we know there is this need to take action. Give me a second. I'm sorry about that. So we know that there are things that we need to take action on. But during this time, it's like there's also a release, right? Because in some way, it's like there's healing to do. Now, maybe it is healing, you know, a wound that came through that constant negative environment or toxic environment or communication. We may have built up some wounding there, right? I will say I pulled some of the Declare and Decree deck, and one that came out is all wicked rituals of sacrifice done against my ancestors is now destroyed in spirit and in flesh. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that in screen. screenshot it. I am really not good with the cameras. I mean, look at that. I got to hold it practically upside down. The other one is all works of iniquity done against myself and my loved ones is now destroyed in spirit and in flesh. These three fell out together. It's why I'm doing them all together. And this one says all blockages of my financial and material resources are now cleared in spirit and in flesh. Now, these three tell me that, yeah, there were things or people, we call them garbage pail kids or gremlins, garbage pail kids, working behind the scenes. Okay. And there were things that were done that were not right. And it may have formed wounds or attachments, like unhealthy attachments, addictions, or patterns and beliefs, right? And those are what we are releasing. So, what I feel is in recognizing where we may be holding on to this need or this belief that we must sacrifice our energy in order to have, right? Or in order to be whole, to be abundant and prosperous. It may have built up confusion. You know, when people are working behind the scenes, everything can kind of come out a bit blurred. It really causes us to have to follow our intuition quite a bit. And we have to trust that also. So there may have been instances of not knowing who to trust, where to go, where to begin. There may have been some confusion as to when to take action, how to take action, these types of things. But once we allow these energies to leave, right, with grace, with love, with gratitude, we bind them, we send them back, and we say, your purpose is served. Okay. You don't have any more obligations here. I got the lesson. I don't need to learn it again. And we release them. We allow them to be free to be the souls they were intended to be and take their lesson somewhere else. You know, and we can do that with gratitude. And once we do, I feel it is going to clear up whatever blockages there may have been in the financial and material resources, because things are going to be more clear, right? So, what is clear from this message? Let me see if I can get my garbage pail kids. Where I put them. Oh, give me a second. Let me pause this. Okay, sorry about that. I had to reach around my desk to grab our little garbage pail kids over here. I don't know what else to call them. But we have someone here who is feeling quite anxious. And someone here who is quite focused. And someone here who is quite nauseated. That light is horrible. Let me see if I can adjust it a little bit. I have to pause again. And we have someone victorious. Okay, I think I've got it. Goodness. Yeah, so we have someone over here who has literally worried themselves sick, who dislikes someone's victory over here so much that it literally makes them sick. So it does feel quite like the squash and the pine story, right? So many are used to being in competition. We've been raised and trained and educated in ways to be ahead of the competition, right? First prize, second prize, gold, silver, right? That when we set these goals and we go out to pursue our dreams, many who have not done the inner work will go to all lengths, any lengths, at all costs, right? To reach that goal first, to be the biggest and the best, to have more, to be seen more. And it's almost like we've got someone out here who was maybe gloating, right? Maybe they grew a little too fast and they forgot that it was just their season. Because when the real harsh, cold weather comes, it's as this book says, their leaves will fall. They will stop growing. You know, it's the tortoise and the hare. So today, I really feel like Spirit is saying it's time, right? It is time to act, but time to focus. Focus on your growth. Where have you grown? What seasons have you overcome? Have you pushed through? Have you achieved goals in to now? Because there's a lot of growth there, and those roots go deep. For someone who is coming to a point of truly being abundant, right? It's because they're abundant within. So let's see what emotions may be coming up here also. See if Spirit has anything. Hope. This would be solar plexus. Says hope is a bridge to put to the future, helping you believe that tomorrow holds greater promise. Regardless of today's circumstances, hold on to hope as it will be the source of strength to move forward. So it's also solar plexus, right? That's solar, sacral, crown, throat. It's also confidence. That's courage, right? You're not stuck in your root. You're not stuck in that survival mode. You have overcome, regardless of the squash attempting to wrap its branches and its leaves around you. Even while it was producing fruit, right? Because what you are growing, what you are building is much larger than that. These are goals that withstand ages. Right? They're here long after we have passed on. It's legacy. It's for the generations that follow. It's not just to feed your family today. Like I said, the squash has its season, right? And splitting that on jealousy. Jealousy is the desire for what others have, reflecting anxiety about, unachieved goals within yourself. When jealousy arises, reflect on the lessons it brings. Let's see. I don't know why these people make these writings so light. It reminds you to focus on your own growth rather than comparing yourself to others. So busy comparing themselves over here that they didn't even really get to enjoy their fruit. Maybe some of it actually died on the vine because they were so busy looking over here. Right? A lot of green, a lot of orange, a lot of yellow. That's heart. Green is the color of life, right? It's growth. It's abundance. Got a lot of orange there. It's creative. You know, you got this Mr. Potato Head here, right? It reminds us that even our roots are gold. Our roots bring sustenance. And someone's truly having a bit of a dilemma over here. I mean, they just are having a really difficult time making choices, I feel, of staying focused. Really having a difficult time examining and reflecting on what caused their own fruit to die. Like, where did you come from? It's almost like the squash plant after he looks up, right? After he hits that first frost and looks up at the pine tree's branches, it's like, oh my God, I was just looking at the bottom of the trunk. Like, where did you come from? How did you get so tall? How could you survive this? Right? I'm having a bit of an issue over it. Interesting. Let's see what Spirit is advising us to do here. Let's see. Why is this coming around? Focus on your growth. It's not a time for haste. And yes, there are actions that need to be taken. But we have time, right? We're growing generational knowledge, wisdom, support, foundations, wealth, abundance, healing, right? Generational. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. Let's see what they say. Oh, to show you the beauty and simplicity. Because it's time to trust the unknown. And because you're being directed to a new path that is in alignment, right? Squash free. Squash free. You found your inner strength. You've surrendered when needed to. You know when it's time to take a rest. And some over here are totally overthinking it. Some are over here overthinking it. Some have had to wake up and realize their own worth. They've had to see the beauty within them to have that confidence. Right? It says to prepare you for a miracle and to open doors you have not seen. Look at that open door, that path. Maybe that is the open door you were looking for the entire time. I think so. I think there are many open doors, and they're about to be seen for real. I think we're going to be walking through quite successfully and bringing our goals, our dreams to fruition. It's definitely the year to take action on those. Just know that it doesn't all have to be done overnight, that it's not going to happen overnight, but that each change, right, each step we take is another step of growth. And those that would like to laugh and scoff and poke fun and backbite and scheme behind the scenes, it's just their season. The first frost, they won't survive it. They won't. And that's really the sad thing about it. There are just some who choose to continue competing, comparing. Maybe that's their lesson. You're just one mirror out of millions, billions. Maybe they'll realize, that it's their own image that they're anxious and worried and sick of. And maybe they'll move on to another mirror. We don't know. But we send them away with love because we know the growth within. And that's all we need to know. Right? So for those that are worried, those who feel like maybe they've been stuck, they felt alone, like you've been doing it all by yourself, or the end would never get here, it may be worth putting in some practices, doing some declare and decrees. I declare and decree all work of iniquity done against myself and my loved ones is now destroyed in spirit and in flesh. Or I declare and decree all wicked rituals of sacrifice done against my ancestors is now destroyed in spirit and in flesh. And I declare and decree that all blockages of my financial and material resources are now cleared in spirit and in flesh. And so it is. Right? You can write those down on paper and burn them and set them free. I always kind of look at, things like sacrifice, especially those areas where we feel like we must sacrifice our feelings, our knowledge, our understanding, our wisdom, our worth, our value, so that others can have what they want, or even so that we can have what we want. Sacrifice is old. It doesn't serve us anymore, not our highest good. So it may be worth looking at those areas where we sacrifice our energy, right? Get the rest that we need. Lay down the burden of having to get it all done now. Pick up one thing at a time, right? Let those little gremlins in the background go do their own inner work. I love you guys. I thank you for being here. And I am now going to return your energy to you, whole and pure, as I receive my energy, whole and pure, so that only that which is love remains. Send you with gratitude and peace.